Can the Nintendo Switch still fail? Is that possible? Is it likely? Where will the system end up overall in terms of lifetime sales when everything is all said and done? These are some questions that a lot of people are asking. I know there are haters out there that are rooting for the system to, well, completely plummet after its first year of pretty damn good success. I mean, the system completely outdid the Wii U in just 10 months. Nintendo shipped over 15 million units when the Wii U couldn't even get to 14 in almost 5 years. That's pretty impressive. So Nintendo's in very good shape, and they want to ship over 20 million units for the second fiscal year. Can they achieve that? These are some of the questions we're going to be looking into. We're going to look into all the sales numbers for different systems and coming to I guess an ultimate conclusion as to where we think the system is going to end up by the end of its life cycle, if the system can still potentially fail, or if it's at least likely. And then we're gonna, by the end of this video, I'm gonna come up with my own conclusion as to where I think the system will be in terms of lifetime sales. I'll actually give you guys a hard number, and then I'm gonna let you guys come up with your own conclusions, and you guys are gonna let me know in the comments below. So let's actually get the show on the road. But before we do, remember to like this video, guys. It really helps out. And if you're a fan of Nintendo content, I do all sorts of theories, discussions, reviews, analysis on this channel, so check it out and make sure to subscribe. But without further ado, let's get this show started. So Nintendo has brought the Switch into an environment, an economic environment, that a lot of people weren't predicting would be a very good situation for the Switch to sort of bloom and succeed, but we're starting to see it do that despite all these predictions. I mean, if we look at the estimates for the mobile market, it's said to be growing year by year by year, and the predictions are that the console market will only get weaker year by year by year. And the PlayStation 4 in its own right is on pace to be the most successful system ever. So keeping all these different things into consideration, especially coming off of Nintendo's worst home console performance ever, people weren't expecting the Switch to do so well. It's just such a competitive environment right now that a lot of people didn't really think the Switch would do so well as it has already, and it's crazy. But can the Switch maintain that considering all of this other competition? And maybe. I think we have to take a few things into consideration when we look at the Switch and the sort of market it's appealing to. So the thing about the Switch is that it's not just a home console, it's not just a handheld, it's kind of both. It is also sort of like a tablet. It does in a way kind of appeal to that mobile market as well. So in terms of categorizing the system, it's a bit of a blurred line situation. But for all intents and purposes, I'm going to refer to the system as a home console for the most part, but we do need to take into consideration that a lot of handheld gamers that were playing just the 3DS or the DS and didn't buy a home console like the Wii or the Wii U are jumping over onto the Switch because it does seem to be Nintendo's next future handheld as well as their next future home console. So we're going to be seeing a lot more Nintendo gamers going onto one system. But that's the thing, though, because there's only going to be one system to buy going forward in the future. We assume, we don't know. Nintendo could announce something else, but it doesn't seem like that's going to be the case for now. They're losing potential sales because every generation Nintendo has both a handheld and a home console, and you're going to have Nintendo fans that are going to buy both. I've bought both most of the time as well. So they're losing those potential sales, but they're making up for it in other ways. Nintendo now is branching out. They have a partnership with Universal. They're working on the parks. They're working on movies. They're making all sorts of new mobile games on smartphones, which is a growing market still remarkably. And on top of that, for whatever reason, it seems that software sales on the Nintendo Switch are way stronger. It's not just the hardware, the systems they're selling, but the games. There are way more games people are buying on the system than any other system. And it's not just the Nintendo games. It's the third-party games as well. Third-party games, for whatever reason, have a much better ratio on the Switch than other systems. And I speculate that a lot of it has to do with the Nintendo Switch's accessibility because it's both a handheld and a home console, because it can switch seamlessly between the TV and on the go. It just creates this very comfortable gaming environment. And some people just want to take their really awesome games on the go, and I guess that's why a lot more people are buying games on the Switch. It's just such a great system to play different kinds of games. And I think that's really special, and I think that's why we're seeing a lot of more sales on the Switch. I guess that's it. There could be other reasons. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below, but I think that may be the main reason why we're seeing such increased sales. But here's the thing. Because those software sales are so strong, especially for the third parties, more third parties are going to be putting even more games on the system because they're going to go where the money is. And if more and more people are buying the Switch, and the software sales are so strong, it would only make sense to put games on the system. So yeah, sales are only going to get better. If third parties are supporting the system like they are now, and if it's only going to get better, the system's going to do really well. It's at least going to do better than the Wii U, which had no third-party support. I mean, we could be looking at the best third-party support we've seen on a Nintendo system in over 15 years, and that's something that's really, really special, and it's going to go a long ways toward helping the Switch to not be a failure by any stretch of the imagination. Keeping in mind just how accessible the Switch is with its, handheld home console, hybrid nature, and just how well third parties are selling on the system, how well Nintendo games are selling on the system is in a very good position compared to other home consoles. It is set up itself up really well, and it has built up a lot of momentum in its first year with Zelda, Mario, and all those other great games. So where does Nintendo plan to take it from here? Do they plan for it to become more successful than the Nintendo Wii, Nintendo's most successful home console? Or do they even plan for it to become the most successful handheld by surpassing even the Nintendo DS, which was over 150 million units? Maybe, they might, but that is a very lofty goal, and it's going to be tough to surpass, especially in this highly competitive market, but it's not impossible. So let's kind of consider what Nintendo plans to do from what we know already. They want to ship 20 million units for this next fiscal year. They will have shipped well over 15 million units for the first fiscal year, and they plan to get out over 20 million for the next one. I've even heard numbers closer to 30 in some cases. Then that would be astronomical, but it might not be impossible. Because the thing is, yeah, they have a lot of good games coming out now, but some people are sort of thinking that they won't have a lot of strong games this year. But we know a few games that, well, we have a pretty good idea of some games that could be coming out this year that could really help the Switch to kind of, get to that next level. One of those games is Smash Brothers. Now, keep in mind, the games I'm talking about right now are not confirmed to be coming out this year, but there's just a lot of speculation and information out there that suggests that they very well may. Like I said, Smash Bros. Could be coming out this year. It's one of Nintendo's biggest franchises, and based off a recent rumor from Emily Rogers, she's saying that this game is going to be coming out this year. It's going to be a combination of 3DS and Wii U in terms of content, with some new content as well, and that could be great because a lot of people didn't play it on Wii U. A lot of people may want a portable and HD Smash Brothers. This thing could do very, very well. Is it actually going to happen? I think there's a very good chance of it, especially considering Nintendo's launching their online service later this year. I don't think Smash Bros. Is coming out in September with Nintendo's online service. And considering that Emily Rogers is sort of supporting my speculation here, I feel pretty good about this. I mean, most insiders believe that Emily Rogers, she's pretty much been right about almost everything. There's just been a couple instances where she hasn't. So you still should take this with a grain of salt, but there's still a very good chance, regardless rumor or not, it just makes sense for Smash Bros. To come out this year, and that's going to really help the Switch to push those extra 20 to 30 million units. But there's another game that could be coming this year that is even bigger. It is literally one of Nintendo's biggest franchises. I have to double check if it's bigger than Mario, but it's really, really big. It's one or two, and that is Pokemon. Pokemon is a huge, huge thing, and with the Switch and this Pokemon game that we know is in development for the Switch, it's going to be the very first mainline home console Pokemon game, and fans have been begging for a home console Pokemon game since Pokemon has existed, essentially. This could be huge. This could be the best-selling Pokemon game by far. When you take into consideration how much better pretty much every game is selling on the Switch, the fact that people have been begging for a home console Pokemon, this thing it's set up for success immediately. Even if it's bad, it probably won't be bad, but it's going to do really well in terms of sales. But will it actually make it out this year? That is a question that is up for debate. Now, according to Nintendo's quarterly reports, it is slated for 2018 or later, so it's still up in the air. But it's been in that slot for a few quarterly reports already, and in my opinion, the fact that it stayed in that slot all this time, and as we're approaching closer and closer to the time that Pokemon would come out this year, I think the chances of it actually coming out this year are pretty high. Now, another piece of information that does kind of give us more hope for that is that Pokemon Company has said that this is going to be a very, very big year for Pokemon. Now, here's the thing. Yeah, they do different things to hype up Pokemon year by year. It's called advertising and, social networking and such. I get it. We should all get that. Yeah. But they rarely say things in those ways. They rarely say this is going to be one of the biggest Pokemon years ever. They don't say that sort of thing all the time. And the thing is, Pokemon Company Pokemon Company pretty much comes out with a Pokemon game essentially every single year. If you look at the release dates year by year, yeah, there's a year or two that they've missed in the last like 8 or 9 or maybe 10 years, but it's very few and far between. So considering that this is the year that they are trying to get the game out on Switch this year, and that the Pokemon Company is hyping up this year, why would they hype up a year that isn't going to actually have a mainline Pokemon game? I feel like they want the game out this year. Will it happen? Hopefully they'll get it out, but they definitely are aiming to get the game out this year. So if Pokemon does get out this year on top of Smash Brothers, considering all the other games they have, considering the third-party support that's coming in, considering that all of the DLC that Kimishima says is going to be coming to different kinds of games, there's a lot of momentum going for the Switch, and they really could hit that 20 to 30 million target for the next fiscal year, which would put it in a very good position. Depending on, if it's closer to 30 million as opposed to 20 million, then the Switch will be ahead of pace compared to the Wii, Nintendo's best-selling home console, by the end of next fiscal year, which would be crazy. That was, a lot of us sort of thought that the Wii situation was kind of like a lightning in a bottle situation. It was a situation Nintendo didn't even necessarily bring in all the hardcore gamers. They appealed to a lot of casuals, an outsider market that is pretty much moved on to mobile. We didn't think that a home console Nintendo system could reach these levels. But the Switch is on the cusp of maintaining, well, it is kind of on pace at this point, but if it maintains pace by the end of its second year, that is very promising. It is very promising for the Switch's future, for sure. So, bearing everything in mind, the fact that Pokemon and Smash could be coming out this year, the fact that Nintendo actually plans for this system to have longer than a 5 to 6 year life cycle, the fact that the first year has been one of the most successful years ever, the fact that the software sales on this system are better than pretty much any system out in the market today and better than a lot of systems out in the past, this thing is doing really well, and I don't expect this to fail. I think the odds of it failing are pretty low, but what would you call a failure? I would say it's kind of hard to decide what you would decide as an actual failure, so if you guys have an idea of what a failure for the Switch would be for you, let me know in the comments below. But I would say a failure would be something less than 70 million. If the Switch sells less than 70 million units, I would call that a failure, in my opinion. Now, failure is kind of a loose term here, because as long as the Switch sells games, as long as it boosts the brand of Nintendo, as long as it improves upon beforehand and makes money for the company, it's not a real failure. And the Switch is pretty much all but barring something incredibly unlikely, like some sort of terrible death or some sort of weird scandal, the Switch is probably going to do very well, and it's going to at least be a very, very profitable system. It's just highly unlikely that it won't be a profitable system. Will it pass 70 million? I think most people would bet yes at this point. I think so, especially if Nintendo really is going to try to push the system past the 5 to 6 year life cycle. But here's the thing, though. One thing that a lot of people definitely like to knock the Switch on is its hardware capabilities, which in a way I sort of get. I mean, as a handheld, the Switch is the most powerful, handheld that a actual, it's fully video game focused system, it's crazy. But as a home console, it is definitely lacking. But in this day and age, with the way games can scale and such, it doesn't seem to be that big of a deal. I mean, we are getting ports of Doom and stuff like that, so I think it'll work out for the time being. But how about 5 to 6 years from now? Will the Switch be able to keep up at that point? That remains to be seen. I do think they could think of different ways to sort of extend the system's life cycle, maybe releasing an upgraded Switch so you could still use the original Switch, but the games will be compatible either way, kind of like what we're seeing with PS4 Pro and Xbox One X. There is the other possibility of Nintendo, materializing that patent that we saw of the supplemental computing device. There could be some sort of peripheral or a dock that actually improves the graphical power of the Switch. Hopefully that happens. I would love that idea, but you never know, really. I mean, it's just a patent. So those are different ways they could sort of increase the lifespan for the Switch, or maybe they just have other stuff like Nintendo Labo and other devices like that, or peripherals, whatever you want to call it, that will extend the life and increase the audience for the Switch. But there's just so many options for the Switch. It is not only is it a great system, but it has so many options. Like I said before, Nintendo Labo is just one of many ideas Nintendo could use to really expand the audience for the Switch, and it really, I have a hard time believing the Switch won't sell incredibly well. It's going to do really well. Now, as for my prediction, do I think the system is going to surpass the Wii? I think, yeah, I do, actually. I think it's definitely going to go above 100 million, but I do not expect it to pass. I think it's going to get close to 150 million. To put a number out there, I say the Switch hits 130 million when everything is said and done. But keep in mind, guys, I'm assuming that the Switch is going to have like a 7 to 8 year life cycle. I'm assuming that they're going to have upgrades like a Switch 2.0 that's not really considered a full-on new generation. So yeah, I'm going to put that number, 130 million. You guys can come back here 5, 6, 7 years from now. It's like, oh, you were wrong, or hey, you were right. You know, like, yeah. So that's where I'm going to put it. I think it's definitely going to surpass the Wii because it is something that it's catering to hardcore gamers. So they're going to keep coming back. They are going to do these things like Nintendo Labo to bring in a larger audience. They have ways to improve the system considering how it is, like, it can be plugged into different docks and the Joy-Cons and Nintendo Labo. I think there's a lot of things they can do to really extend the life of the system. And like I said, and like Nintendo said, they plan on going beyond the standard 5 to 6 year life cycle for this system. So I feel pretty confident, especially considering it's already on pace to compete with the Wii, that if they support it longer than the Wii, it's going to do better than the Wii. So 130 million is where I'm putting my prediction. It could go above that. Maybe Nintendo does something crazy. Who knows? Or maybe it'll be lower. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. If you enjoyed this video, remember to like it. It really actually helps out. I mean it. And if you want to see more content like this, you know, like discussions, theories, speculations, analysis, podcasts, all that sort of stuff for Nintendo, subscribe. Anyways, everyone, again, thank you so much for watching. And I will see you all really soon. Bye.
Look at